Can you guys introduce mommy?
Spill the beans with Dr. Jill.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's episode of Spill the Beans with Dr. Jill. As always, I would like my guests to introduce themselves to you today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lacora Wood. I'm an occupational therapist in an outpatient orthopedic setting with a focus on hand therapy and rehab.
How long have you been in school for your expert experience?
Oh, well, I had to do 4 years of undergrad, and then I had to do 2 years of my master's program. And right now I'm studying to become a certified hand specialist, and that takes 4,000 hours or 3 years working in hand therapy. So I just reached my 3 years, and I'm actually studying right now to take that exam.
Look,
So,
it takes such a commitment to be in the medical field, helping profession. So I want to start
mhm.
by thanking you for your commitment. But I also want to ask and pick your brain. So, in your academic experience, had anyone ever talked to you about vicarious trauma?
I actually did have some experience with that. So one of my level twos, which is where you actually start to build your caseload and get experiences in different settings. One of them was at New York Presbyterian, which was Behavioral Institute. And so I had a great leader. His name was Pasquale, and he was able to actually broaden my horizons with a little bit of this familiarity and how we could use our therapeutic use of self to kind of help facilitate our patients.
That's exciting. So, would I also assume that in your academic career, you learned about self-care, or did you kind of harness that on yourself?
I think it was really emphasized in our program because it is quite rigorous. And I really enjoyed our professors because they really highlighted the importance of working really hard, but also not getting to the point where you're burnt out and you're not really enjoying what you're doing anymore. So having that support, I think externally was really good. And that built the confidence of like doing it has a purpose. And so you should really lean into it. And then after having my experience at New York Presbyterian, and just kind of using more therapeutic skills and different ideas with group therapy, that was really, really pivotal for patients because that's really when they got to see I can take care of myself. It does show value. And even just if I wash my face, that's a step in the right direction for my day.
What kind of self-care do you do? Have you
Well,
developed a strategy on managing your vicarious
I
trauma?
I would say I think, journaling is really important just to write things down and validate things for yourself. There is a connection with just writing stuff down, whether it's in your phone. I use my journal app on my phone, or I also keep a diary that when I get to it. But you want to create access for yourself that's easy, that's flexible, that kind of fits what you're doing. You don't want it to be another task on your day. I really emphasize to my patients, especially who they're post-surgery, your body goes through so much. Just the ability to kind of overcome that and get restarted again is really, really important. And I highly emphasize like get good quality sleep. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure you're taking the time to just rest because people always feel like after they have surgery, they need to go, go, go. While that's true for certain people, it's not the cookie cutter answer for everyone. And sometimes the longer you actually give your tissue the time to heal, the better your outcome is going to be because now you've given it the time to get stronger. You've
Mhm.
given the inflammation time to kind of go away. And then they find out, like, okay, if I listen to this chica, yeah, it did work out that way. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of great to get that feedback when patients come back and they're like, I did what you said. I just sat there, I rested, I read a book.
Yeah.
I actually had a patient this morning tell me that. She said she went outside to like read a book on her patio. That was her form of self-care, right? And she took her brace off to like get sun, but she immediately felt like that was too overwhelming for me. I need to do this, I need to do that. And I was like, feel encouraged to make these adjustments when I'm not there. You're going to be with yourself more than I'm with you. So I can give you the tools to be, better about your decision making, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what you actually do to get prepared to handle those situations.
Do you have a standard of how many patients or clients you see within a day where you know you won't be your best self if you extend that number? Is there a magic number for you yet?
I would think, it's ever changing because it really
Mhm.
depends on the structure of my schedule. And sometimes I do think there are moments where I do become busy if I have meetings. I definitely don't want to go over my caseload on that day. I'm not going to take an extra visit. I'm not going to extend my day. I'm not going to work through lunch. And the company that I work for, I'm pretty happy that they really do emphasize that work-life balance and they do support you outside of work. And I think that's really important to have, especially when you're growing and working in a field. You want to have that community support. And I do think that is highly valuable in any case and in any type of field that you're in.
For you, what would burnout look like if you had too much vicarious trauma because of your profession
Mm.
and you had to check in with yourself saying, my vicarious trauma is becoming toxic and I'm at jeopardy of burnout? What would be the warning signs? Do you know what those would look
Mm.
like yet?
I think so. And I think that's why I really advocate for myself in moments when I do feel that way. So, one thing I do notice is I tend to become more short in my responses. And so, that's a really quick way for someone to shut down. And if I'm feeling that stress, my patients feel that stress, and I don't really feel stressed. My patients always compliment me on my calm demeanor and how I just have a handle on things. And I really think that's important for someone to feel that trust because now you trust that I will take care of you. You trust that I'm calm under pressure, which I should be. We're trained professionals. And there are moments when things don't go correctly, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to put that on the person. That's going to be 100% on me.
Mhm.
I'm going to make a way for us to get through this together. You won't know if thing is wrong. And I kind of feel that way now, like planning my wedding, when you talk to your coordinator and they're like, don't worry, you're not going to know anything is going on. Just enjoy the day. And while I'm having trust issues because I'm like, I won't be a part of all of these things, that's kind of the value of, trusting the experts, kind of giving and leaning into that so that I don't have to carry that load. So I really pay attention to like how I'm feeling in the moment and kind of checking in with myself. Like, is my jaw too tight? Are my shoulders all the way up to my neck? Is my hands clenched? And just kind of like, how am I feeling in that moment? And taking that time to, reflect. Like if I do need to step away and I am having like, you know, to share a little bit, last October, we were unfortunately involved in a car accident. And so for me, a lot of that was taking care of myself and making sure that I let the right people who need to support me can support me. And that's as far as that will go. I can only advocate for myself when I feel like I need something extra.
It's so powerful that you're sharing that with us, and we're so grateful that you're okay from your accident.
Thank you.
One of the things are like when I do my workshops, I talk to the
Mhm.
practitioner about the intersection of PTSD versus
Yeah.
vicarious trauma. And so
Hmm.
it would be like if you then had a client who was also in a car accident and how that buds up against each other of like your lived experience plus theirs, how do
Absolutely.
you like kind of couch yours a little bit to serve them and like
Hmm.
what that means. But I'm also interested because it sounds like you're full on.
Yeah.
You were educated about this, you're
Hmm.
prepared, you've got systems in place, and you're realistic of like, I might get burnout one day. It's not today, and I know
Yeah.
how to check in with myself. What would you
Absolutely.
say though to the people that do what you do and they're
Hmm.
kind of like in denial? Like when I ask
Yeah.
them, do you know about your vicarious trauma? They're like, oh, I don't get vicarious trauma. And I'm like, it's impossible for you to not get vicarious trauma when you're taking care
Yeah.
of people who have been
All
through
the
trauma.
time. All the time.
What would you say to them? How can we convince them that this is okay?
Well, I think it's just people are afraid of where the conversation may go and how do they
Yeah.
navigate that conversation. And sometimes it's realistically a difficult conversation because people are delicate. They're in delicate states. And for me, I lean into more of like, what can I actually do for this person in this moment? And that could be decreasing their pain, giving them some more education on why they have pain. Sometimes just explaining what's going on is 100% better than leaving them with their own thoughts because they don't have the skilled minds that we do. I think for every practitioner, it really comes down to their personality and how well they feel like they could handle those conversations because they could go in really negative ways and they could go in really positive ways. And you don't want to overpromise something. And I think as practitioners, we don't want to get into the habit of saying, I'm going to get you 100%, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think you have to just kind of lean into what you actually could find the value of doing right now for that person. And I think being in the present is way more valuable than anything else for someone who comes in after they've had surgery, after they've had a fracture. You want to just take care of them. For instance, I'll give you an example that literally happened today. I had a patient, he fell. We had an ice storm. He fell, landed on his outstretched hand. He, ended up breaking his wrist. He needed to have surgery. And he comes in, and immediately I'm like, I need to make you something to support your hand. One, I see that you're having way more swelling. Your pain is a 10 out of 10. I feel like this is exactly what you're missing. Do you trust me to do this? And he's like, absolutely. Checked with the physician. They okayed it. Great. Let's get to work. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, here's what this person needs right now is to kind of get that like irritability a little bit less so that
Mm.
they can be in the right frame of mind to accept all the information I'm going to give them. And so I started them out with like a warm treatment just to kind of get them in the mood to get going and checked in with them periodically. And as I'm doing that, they're like, my pain is becoming less. They're feeling a little bit more comfortable. They're a little bit more, open to receive the information I'm about to give them. And so throughout our process, I spent like an hour with this patient today, just one educating him on like exercises to do, but making him a brace so that, he can go home and sleep better. He literally said that to me. He's like, maybe I'll get some sleep tonight. And I'm
Wow.
like, that is such a small thing to someone else, but what a big thing to this person that I just gave them the
Right.
ability to have some restful sleep. And I really think it comes from just like leaning into what you know and
Yeah.
how would you want to be treated? I think it really comes down to that basic principle. And I say that to my patients all the time. And they're like, why do you do this? All these things. And I'm like, because that's how I would want to be treated. And
Right.
so as a human, we can't forget that level. Like I can be professional, I can do my best, but I need to also remember that there's a human on the other side of what I'm doing. And so they're going to be scared. They're going to have a lot of unknowns. And so for me, if I can tell them, hey, in 3 weeks, you're going to have more soft tissue healing. In
Mhm.
6 weeks, that's going to get stronger. By 12 weeks, you're going to feel even better. This gives them like milestones. They're like, okay, great. I'm on this track. I'm on this track. And when it happens, they're like, more trust is developed. And so
Yeah.
now they're like really eager to keep going. And so I really think that's what our practitioners need to do is just don't worry about like where it's going to go. Just kind of lean into what you know and give it your best self because that's all I can do every single day is show up with my best self.
Has there been anything well, I should share that we met when you were an RA, right?
Yes, I was an RA.
We're
Yep.
talking like decades ago now, right?
Decades ago. Yes, an undergrad. Absolutely.
Makes me feel so old. But has there been anything like those life skills that prepared you for hearing other people's trauma in the medical field right now?
Absolutely. I think it all has kind of, amplified all the things that I have from my experience being an RA. I think the values of the in-service, I think the value of having you as a leader to kind of pinpoint a lot of different avenues that we weren't aware of and kind of making that at the forefront was really pioneering. And I think it encouraged others to kind of question and ask more about like, what can we actually do? How can we be of service better to our students, to our patients? And I think that's where we can't draw the line. We always have to question, well, what else could I do?
Yeah. I mean, and you've been dedicated to this field during a national pandemic.
Yes, I know I was in school during the pandemic, so learning was quite interesting.
And there's so much going on politically. You're getting
Yes,
hit in a lot of different areas right now. And
yes,
so,
and that's very complex. Yes.
right. And I can imagine. And so what if you had I end every series with if you had
Mhm.
to spill the beans, what mantra, what quote, what inspirational statement would you give us for the practitioners that are in your field, for those that don't believe that they get vicarious trauma and we want to normalize it? What would you give us and leave us with?
Well, I would say, Maya Angelou, right? People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I still have people who will like write me letters or send me messages through their My Chart, and they're like, thank you so much for getting me to this point. I'm back to like riding my bike for like an hour again, and I feel great. I'm like, Great. I love that for you. I love that we were able to get you back to that. And those warm, fuzzy feeling I get is like a full circle moment. And I think that's what I really enjoy about the therapy world is like I get to help you achieve your goals, plan your goals, help you meet your goals. And a part of that is just kind of understanding what the person and what's really important to them. And if it's important to them, then it's important to me too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
that amazing sentiment, we're going to end the conversation and thank
Right.
everyone for watching Spill the Beans.
Thank you.
Until
Thank
next
you,
time.
Jill.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching today's episode with Lacora and I talking about her medical profession and the intersection of her lived experience, her knowledge in vicarious trauma, and reassuring us about her self-care strategies and all the things that we've been talking about with this season dedicated to the medical profession on Spill the Beans. A couple of things I really wanted to highlight that I appreciated about our conversation tonight was there's so many, but I hope you were able to see Lacora's personality. She is someone that overall has a very calm demeanor, but she was able to articulate with us tonight her lack of control in spaces, and what she wants to focus on is the diagnosis and being able to stay true to her caseload and not making excuses for why she can't do other things. I think that's really important. She also talked a lot about the things that mean a lot to her, you know, treating everyone with respect and dignity and being kind and the dedication that she has to this field. I'm hoping that you felt that energy come through the session tonight. I also stressed twice that we're meeting at night because of our schedules. You know, Lacora has a lot on her plate, as most medical professionals do. And what I appreciated when I reached out to her was I said, you know, you have these expertise. I want to pick your brain. Do you mind? And she was like, she said immediately, I'm there for you, Jill. What do you need? When do you need it? Let's make it happen. And those relationships and those bonds only help that. I truly do believe that if Cora ever got into a situation where her vicarious trauma was overflowing and her immediate support system wasn't there, that she knows that she can reach out to me and others that are emotionally invested in her success, not just because she was one of my students once, but she is genuinely one of these practitioners that if something were to happen to me, I would want her to help me. I think that she treats individuals the way that I would want to be treated. So I hope you felt that and that you were inspired by our conversation. If you're in the same field as her, I thank you. I thank her. And I hope you take care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.